Welcome to Live Into Your Best Life, a show where people learn how to go from where they are to where they'd like to be in any area of life. If you're looking for a new job, wanting to improve your relationships, or even reclaim your health, Paulie Skaja will share with you a simple formula that can take you on a journey to begin to live into your best life in all areas of life. Now sit back and begin your journey.
Hi there, and welcome to Live Into Your Best Life. I'm Paulie Skaja, your show's host, and today we're going to talk about age. Yep, that simple little illusion that a lot of people get hung up on that really only means how many trips around the sun have you made? Think about it. Literally, our age just marks how many calendar years we've experienced. That's it. Yet, some people get really hung up on, you have to be a certain age to be able to do this thing. Like every 18-year-old is mature enough to live life at the same level. Or every 21-year-old is responsible enough to make the decisions that they're being given. Or every 50-year-old is responsible enough to live into the decisions and the responsibilities they have. There is no magic age where everybody should be able to be ready to vote or drink or be in the military or run a business or take an adventure around the world or retire. Every circumstance is unique to the person living it. In fact, I've shared with many people, I have no intention of retiring. I just choose to continue moving forward, considering the possibilities and all the options, and evolving as my life continues to change. As I continue to age, which for anyone who's not aware, this is being released 2 days after my birthday. So this is my birthday edition. And as I continue to watch the years fly by, I'm looking at when would I like to retire? Yeah, I have no intention of retiring. I'm just going to shift how I work. Now, that might be 5-10 years down the road. Who knows? But for now, I am loving what I'm doing and I'm going to continue. Now, with that in mind, some of you have reached out and asked me, where do my ideas about how I live my life come from? And often, like many of you, they stem back to thoughts from my parents. So I'm going to give you a couple of nuggets from my mom and dad that I was raised with that have set the tone for how I live my life when it comes to age and how I choose the adventures and the possibilities that I consider. So my mom always told me, if you're going to do something, do it right. Now, in her mind, doing it right meant doing it perfect. However, me doing things right, good enough, okay, something I was happy with and proud of, wasn't perfect for her. And many times she would unravel something I'd crocheted, or she would throw something I cooked in the trash and say, start over. And that was the best way for me to realize that perfection isn't the same thing as doing it right. And I have no desire to be perfect at anything because there's always opportunity for continuous improvement. But I do want to do my best and I do want to do things right. So that for me was a really great nugget. Then my dad always told me, you can do, be, and have anything you want as long as you want it. Now that was the key, as long as you want it. Not doing it for someone else, not doing it because someone else said you should. I want you to think back to your childhood and I want you to consider, or actually think back to last year or the last couple of years. And I want you to consider How often have you made decisions and chosen a path based on what other people feel you should be doing? Think about that for a second. When you chose to go to school after you graduated from high school and you chose to go on to a secondary school or a trade school, if you chose to, did you choose to go into something that you love and that's right for you and that you have the passion for? Or did someone say, you're really great at this, you should consider going to school for that? Or we'll pay for your education if you do this thing. But if you choose to do that thing, you're on your own. In my case, I was really good at math, or I am really good at math. And I was a really shy kid. Anyone who knew me back then doesn't recognize me now. And people now can't even imagine what I was like back then. When you graduate from high school, it's a really great opportunity to reinvent yourself. I did that. And one of the things that was really beneficial, people thought that I should go into something math related. Our family could only afford for me to consider going to a vocational school or a trade school. I looked at the various options and I decided to go to the school that my best friend was going to because I had to go to a secondary school. That was my dad's requirement. But I also knew I needed to move away from home and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was 17 years old when we were trying to figure this out. And I'd never done anything for long periods of time because I get bored too easily. Oh, yeah, that would make sense that I should go into math. Oh, wait, I should become an accountant. No, but I didn't know any better. I was taking the sage advice from people who were older than me. I applied to a school. I was accepted. My roommate was going to be my best friend. We were all ready to go, and they canceled the program because not enough people wanted to become accountants. Now, the really interesting thing was when that happened, I remember feeling a sense of relief. I remember this weight being lifted, and I had no idea why, but I still was going to be roommates with my best friend. I knew that. So, what am I going to go to school for? I'm looking through the magazine and I said, oh, sales, marketing, and management. Program accepted me. I went in, straight A student. I actually held 3 part-time jobs and was still a straight A student because working with people was so natural for me. I got A's in the math components, but I got A's in everything. When you choose to do something that is your passion, you likely will do it right. And when you choose to do it for you rather than what other people are saying, it can be fantastic. Now, I ultimately went on to get my 4-year degree. As my husband loves to say, I was on the 37-year plan. But in 2020, I did graduate with my 4-year degree from Bethel University in organizational leadership. I have years of experience that allowed me to continue to be a 4.0 student, even though it was a university. Fun when you're in the right niche, keep it going and allow it to in various opportunities to emerge for you and show you the possibilities. Last year, in 2023, I wrote a book called Next Stop, Your Dream Job, Navigating Your Journey to Professional Happiness. And in there, I talk about whatever your dream is, you can achieve it. I've got a page listed of some famous people who followed the breadcrumbs to find their dreams. And these are really great examples of it doesn't matter what age you are, and it doesn't matter what you're doing now. You can always find your passion and make it reality. Make your dreams come true. So, at the age of 23, Tina Fey was working at a YMCA. At 23, Oprah was fired from her first reporting job. At the age of 24, Stephen King was working in a laundry. At 27, Vincent van Gogh failed as a missionary and went to art school. At the age of 27, Martha Stewart was a stockbroker. At 28, J.K. Rowling was a single parent living on welfare. At 30, Harrison Ford was a carpenter. Julia Child released her first cookbook at 49 and got her own cooking show when she was 51 years old. Vera Wang failed to make the Olympic figure skating team, didn't get the editor-in-chief position at Vogue, and designed her first dress at 40. Stan Lee didn't release his first big comic book until he was 40. Samuel L. Jackson didn't get his first major movie role until he was 40. And one of my favorites, Morgan Freeman, didn't land his first big break until he was 50. And he's still going strong. And last but not least, Grandma Moses didn't begin her painting career until she was 77. Now, it's okay if you don't know what your dream is yet. And it's also okay if your dreams change and grow through time. The more that you learn, the more that you experience, the more opportunities that will present themselves, and the better you will be at choosing, what is it I really want to do? I'm going to share a quote because I love this. All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. That's from Walt Disney. So, what have I done with my life and in all the years and all the trips around the sun? Those folks that started out in very different ways are all well known around the world. I'm not well known around the world, but what I do today, as I look back, started in my childhood. So when I was 10 years old, I asked my dad, "Hey, Dad, I'd like to start my own business." And he said, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I said, "I think I want to make some things and sell them." "Okay, what are you going to make?" "I think I'll make some pillows and some Barbie clothes." "Okay." So I set out and I crocheted product. And he paid for me to have a booth at the local craft fair. And I sold out of my product. I was only 10 years old. And that was really pretty cool. That was my first business. And I made products for people throughout the years. In fact, I continue to, but usually they're just gifts. At the age of 18, I helped form a nonprofit in our community. When I was 23, also when I was 18, I graduated from high school. I needed a job. Because I was raised on the farm and my dad had his own welding company, I learned the trade. And so my very first job, I was a welder. It's crazy to think back, but the foundational concepts I learned in that, working for that company, have helped me through the years. When I was 23, I was part of the world's first telebanking service. When I was 25, as a temp, I got so good at breaking the application that we were implementing that I became part of the QA team. That was my door into IT. And I got to learn how the developers work and how the testers work. When I was 29, I ran my very first project. I was a recruiter and working in HR, and I was so good at updating resumes and selling people and also opening the door for new clients. I just had a blast, but my computers couldn't keep up with me. We were running DOS, and I had a better system at home than I did at this firm that I was working for. I went into the president's office and I said, "So here's the situation, and I either need a new computer or we need to upgrade our computers here." I'd already talked to the IT director. He came into the office. He gave the president the information he needed. And I ran a project updating 32 computers, installing, putting all the software on, and training everyone how to use Windows-based applications. That led to me actually becoming a consultant. And when I was 32, I was working at the state of Minnesota. I had an opportunity. We were working on Y2K, which gave me a whole nother level of doing projects and change management and helping people with all these changes that happen. But we had a break. And the IT director called me into her office and she said, I have this project I'm working on. It's with a division of the White House. I'd like you to facilitate a meeting for us. And what I need you to do is capture all the notes of everything that everybody says. It turned out it was IT directors from around the country. And what we did, this was my first facilitated experience because I started asking questions to get them to dig deeper. I was just doing what came naturally. And I wound up leading the creation of a program that all of the IT directors around the country came together and they were working together to identify how can we use technology to help our constituents. In those sessions, we came up with, hey, people ought to be able to start a small business online. They ought to be able to renew their tabs. Maybe they should be able to pay taxes. All of these different ideas that are second nature and commonplace today, that team came up with, and I was part of that team. In 1934, excuse me, whoops, that's before my time. When I was 34, I was on my first Scrum team. Now, anybody who knows anything about Agile or the Agile Manifesto knows that frameworks that work well with those ideas are not Agile. So Scrum is not Agile. However, in order to do Scrum well, you use Agile concepts. The interesting thing was when I was running projects, I was using Agile concepts way before there was a manifesto. So running my first Scrum team was easy because it was the way I ran a project. When I was 39, I created the largest charter school from scratch in the state of Minnesota. And it's over 20 years old now. In 2006, I wrote my first book. I pitched to the publisher an idea that was different than anything they'd done before on March 17th. And then I said, I need my book by the last weekend in September because there's a big event happening in town and I want to be able to sell it there. I was donating all the proceeds back to the community and I wanted to make sure that everyone in the community had an opportunity to purchase the book. They laughed at me and said, there's no way. And I said, why? And they said, it takes at least 2 years to write a book. And I said, why? And it came down to most authors took time. I just focused on writing the book. I interviewed over 64 people. And I interviewed 64 people. And I pulled their stories, their pictures, and created a book that documented history for the community. I needed to deliver the final copy by June 30th. Okay, so it's March 17th. By June 30th, the final third round of edits had to be delivered to the publisher to hit my date in September. And we did it. And they delivered a month early. So I had the books, we were able to deliver, and we were able to provide safety things for the high school, gun safe and different training and different things like that, because there had been some gang activity and things. And so anyways, I wanted to help the community. 1 year later, I helped a neighboring community by doing the same thing, interviewing the public, and within 6 months, the book was out. And I donated all those books as well back to the community. In 2005, I got certified in coaching and a variety of energy modalities. Because while I'd been a consultant for many years, when I opened that charter school, I spent 4 years donating my time back to the community. Now, I could have gone back into consulting, but my family liked having me home. Then I thought to myself, well, what am I going to do? So I went into coaching because it's what I'd always done. That's what project management is to me, is coaching. Now, during that time, or during about 1999 to 2009, so in those 10 years, I actually also served on 8 nonprofit boards, and I helped start 4 nonprofit organizations. So while I never thought, oh yeah, this is what I want to do. And in fact, when I was a kid, coaching didn't even exist. In fact, most of these jobs didn't exist. I just followed the breadcrumbs to see what was next. And remember, when I was 18, I helped start a nonprofit. To me, I've already done it. Of course I can help do that. It's about looking at what have you done, knowing that it's possible. People say seeing is believing, but actually believing is seeing. So when you believe you can do something, regardless of what everybody else thinks, and then you prove to yourself you can do it, of course you can do something that seems crazy to everybody else because you already know you can. So look back at your past and consider, what are some of those things I've already done that can take me to the next level on something I'd really like to do? In 2012, I actually wound up going back to consulting. And in 2012, I got to be one of the project managers on the world's largest medical data migration project at that time. So the first project I worked on was duplicate data entry. That's where I got really great at QA. That's also where I learned how the data flows and how it works. And I was a natural at looking at the pieces and taking, here's this system, here's this system. What are the like fields? What are the gaps? And that's how I got really great at analysis. Now, in 2008, I was part of a school board, 8th largest school board in this state. And that was the year my daughter graduated from high school. I got to receive her class. What that means is I got to give a little inspirational speech and then congratulate them for meeting all the requirements for graduating. I gave the speech to 5,000 people. And some would be like, wow, that's a lot of people. And you know what? I stood up on that stage, and while I could see them all, it didn't feel like that many people because I was in the moment talking to the kids that needed a message. And years later, some of those students and some of the people who were in the audience would come up to me and thank me for those words because they hit them. It was a simple little message that resonated. And so you never know when in your life you're going to do something that might seem small to you, but can have a big impact on the people around. So just do your best all the time. Do it right. In 2014, I started as an Agile coach. So that whole Scrum Master thing, the project management stuff, coaching people as a recruiter, all led me down a path that just emerged. And I was able to become an Agile coach and have worked with some of the largest companies in the world, helping them to transform how they do business, streamline their processes, and help them work more efficiently, yet still have fun. In 2020, I created a model, a new way of working for a global insurance company. In 2021, I actually got to be one of the coaches on the world's largest transformation effort. When I went in, the company thought that it was just one of those, we're just going to do this. and it would just happen. And they've learned a few years later, it's through iteration that transformation takes place. And I want to end my career review with you on that note, because as you're thinking about your past, what are some of those opportunities that have opened up and led to something else, even if it seems completely different? And what are some new things that have emerged since then that might be a perfect fit for you that you could go into? Think about it. Every job I've ever held, it never existed when I was asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? What are you going to go to school for? But by setting that foundation in business and realizing I'm really good at it. In fact, my teacher, we had to do a sales presentation, and you got an A if you were able to get the teacher's signature on your purchase order. I actually got an A+ because the teacher actually ordered the product I was selling so that he could gift it to his wife for Christmas. He said in my review that I could sell ice to Eskimos. Now, I actually am not a salesperson, but I love people, and I love understanding what makes people happy and what's holding them back. I help them see gaps so that they're able to make choices to close those gaps. And we do it in a fun way. So as you're considering, what are you going to do next? What's this next trip around the sun look like for you? What do you want to be doing? What will help fill you up? In 1 year from now, where would you like to be? What are the steps it's going to take to get you there? If you listen to the January 1st podcast of this year, you heard me talk about taking action. Because if you don't change how you're doing things, in 1 month, 1 year, 5 years, you're still going to be where you've always been. You need to decide what do you want to be doing and take action in that direction. If you look out 5 to 10, 15, 20 years from now, where do you want to be and what do you want to be doing? Is what you're doing today going to get you there? If not, now's the time to back into it, figure out what are those things I need to be doing, and make checkpoints and milestones along the way so that you can gauge, am I on track or not? And keep in mind that just because you think you want to do something today, as you start to go down that journey, there might be a detour that takes you in an even more amazing direction. So pay attention to the breadcrumbs and allow yourself to live into the moments and enjoy every day of your trip around the sun, because age is just a number. It's the experiences that fill your life. If you've enjoyed this show and learned a little something, please like it and subscribe so that you get the show in your box every week. Also, if you think someone could benefit from hearing this message, share the link with them so that they can continue to watch the breadcrumbs and let their lives emerge in the best possible way and help more people live into their best life. Until next week, enjoy the journey. I'm Paulie Skaja, and I look forward to getting your comments so that I know what you'd like to hear about next. Take care.
Thank you for listening to Paulie Skaja, your show host for Live Into Your Best Life. Check out the show notes and visit her at paulieskaya.com to learn more and continue your journey. Until next week, enjoy the adventure.